Hey there, makeup fans. Well, I did it. I stalked it at Sephora. I kept going in and trying on and contemplating, and I finally went ahead and did it. I picked up the Kat Von D MetalMatte Palette, and what a palette it is. Okay, it's like 3 feet long. This is the longest, most enormous palette I've ever seen. Look at what they did here. So this side says matte, and when you flip it, it says metal. Isn't that wild? It kind of messes with your mind, doesn't it? This palette is full of bright colors. That's why I've had such a problem with deciding whether or not to get it. Like I need any more palettes, right? So what I liked about this was really the metals down here. So we have the metal eyeshadows down here, and we have all of these mattes. So there are some very wearable colors in this palette, and what I wanted to do today was give myself a challenge of making a wearable eye out of these colors. Even with all these brights in here, I wanted to show that this palette can be wearable. The colors can be wearable and usable in here if you don't want to go crazy on brights, which I don't. So I will swatch my favorites out of here, and there's a little bit of a texture difference among some of these too. I'll show you that. I really like that they've put the names of the colors stamped right on here. I don't like it when there's a clear plastic film and it has the names on it, because that invariably gets thrown away or misplaced. I like it when there are names directly on the palette. I love that. That way I can tell you guys exactly what I wore today. So starting out, I put this color called Suede in the crease. Suede is a nice neutral beige matte, and it is a very good crease color. In the pan, in the palette, it looks very blah and very light. When you put it on your eye, it gives it some depth and dimension, and it's kind of surprising that way how much dimension it can give you. And then the outer third, I would say, of my mobile lid, I put the color called Synergy. It is a metallic bronze, very soft, very comfortable feeling on this one. Outer corner, I put the color called Velvet. Velvet is gorgeous. It is a deep plum matte. Actually, in the pan, it looks quite pinky plum, but when you put it on, it goes into a super deep, dark plum. And most exciting, I put on my lid the color called Tinsel. Tinsel is a silvery metallic, but it has a hint of pale green in it. Tinsel is one of those colors that if you put it up against greens, it's going to look very green. If you put it like I did up against these browns and bronzes, it's gonna pick up the sort of champagne neutral look on that. I love Tinsel. It is glitter, but it doesn't fall out, and it's not that greasy grit. It just laid right on my lid. I do have primer on. I used a Lorac primer today, and it just laid right down on that. I didn't need glitter glue or anything like that. I just used a plain Lorac everyday kind of primer. For my highlight, I tapped on a color called Glitz. There's not really a super good highlighter in this palette. There is a color called Bone, and it is a matte ivory. And then there's a super white one called Linen that is a matte white, stark chalk white. But I don't really like to do, I like to do sort of a shimmery highlight is what I'm saying. I don't really like to do a matte highlight very much. For my liner under my eyes, I put the color called Volt, a gorgeous purple, metallic, all the way across. And then outer half, I put the color called Velvet. Use my gorgeous Tarte black clay paint liner, the one in the little squeezy tube, as my liner. I have been using that every day lately. I love that. I'm buying a backup during the VIB sale. Okay, let me swatch some of these standouts here. I love these metal shadows, and that is really why I got this palette. These two colors down here are knockouts. There's a dimensionality to those two colors. They look like velvet. I don't know how they did it, but they look like they have a nap on them like velvet. It's fantastic. Let me show you Nebula and Watt. Yes, look at that nebula. Nebula and Watt. Next are Ignite and Tinsel. Tinsel, of course, I wore today. Ignite, cannot wait to do an eye with Ignite. Look at that. It is like a seafoam green blue aqua. So this is Tinsel and this is Ignite. Now you can see Tinsel has a bit more glitter in it, but it's not that greasy formula that a lot of glitters are. These three down here are smoother. This one is still very smooth, but you can see that it does have some actual glitter particles in it. Next are Glitz and Twinkle. Glitz and Twinkle. Glitz is rather neutral, isn't it? That's why I put it on as a highlighter. Volt and Synergy. I've used both of those today. This is Volt and that's Synergy. And then the last metallic is called Flash, and it is the most intense gold. It is gold, like antique gold is what I would call that. So there's your metallics. Now there's a little bit of a texture difference to them. For instance, Volt has, and they're all super buttery smooth though. It's not that. It's that there's a difference in the texture. Volt has what looks like blue micro glitter in it, and they're all metallic and glittery, but Volt has what looks like blue micro glitter in it. And then out of all of these, the rest of them feel pretty much the same except for Tinsel. Tinsel seems to have more actual glitter in it. They're all buttery smooth though. And okay, on the mattes we have just your standard super black and super white, just a dense matte. You have a color called Velour, which is very bright. I mean, I'll never wear that one. I'll also never wear this one called Moss. I'll never wear this yellow one called Feather either. That's why I had a lot of trouble deciding on this palette or not, is because there's several on here I will never wear. Even this color called Ribbon is a bit bright for me. Let me show you the ones on here that are a little more normal looking. There's Stone. Fringe is a peach color. Right there. And these all of these mattes, none of them are dry. They're all very soft. Here's the color called Jet. It's just a jet black, not streaky. A lot of times with blacks you can have a problem with it being streaky. The color called Silk. And the color called Oak. Here's Suede. I used that in my crease today. That's a really good crease color. And then Velvet. I love Velvet. It is the deepest plum. Kind of looks a little lighter in the pan, strangely, but it is the deepest, most pigmented plum. These are all just nicely pigmented. A lot of times on dark colors, you'll have streakiness, and they're just not doing that. And the pan size is good on these, so they made this palette enormous, and you can easily get your brush in any of these, the mattes or the metallics. A ton of product in this. This was $60, so you kind of have to think long and hard about it, but I did want to get it and show you guys that there are wearable colors in here. It is a wearable palette. So I'm definitely going to have to clean out my palette drawer. It needs it anyway. It is stuffed full. I'm going to have to really make room in there for this one. Tried out today for the first time, and I'm going to do a full video on this, but the new Laura Mercier Candle Glow Sheer Perfecting Powder. This comes in a range of colors. Of course, I got the lightest one called number 1, Light. It's a nice soft powder, and it's in a big dome like this. You get a lot of product. It's set as it says it's a setting powder, a finishing powder, and that it gives you a candlelit glow. So I'm trying this out today on top of my makeup. I can see a glow, a definite glow. Now I have a Radiant foundation on. It's a new foundation for me from Lancome, but I'm going to do a video on this, and we'll see if it actually gives me a glow. And I'm going to use it as my actual setting powder when I do that video. That's coming up, and they did it again. Lancome came out with a great big gift. It's a purchase with purchase. Okay, it is a giant holiday case loaded full of goodies, and it's even better than last year. I flipped totally out last year on it, and I super flipped out this year when I got both of them. I have both colors, the warm and the cool. I'll be doing a massive video on that. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your time, and I'll see you next time.